My name is Douglas Romão. I'm from Brazil, and I'm actually here physically, but I work for a company in Denmark. I'm gonna be next week close to you guys because I'm traveling to build. I'll be there on the as an expert, um, talking in some sessions there. I'm an MVP since 2017, uh, both on the Office apps and services, but also in the business applications, mostly focused on Power Apps and Power Automate. I've been working with Microsoft technologies for over 16 years for now. I have one book published on the Microsoft 365 side, but I'm also working on an AI builder book that will be released soon. I put this QR code that will drive you to my uh, Linktree site where you can see my YouTube channel. I have some videos there if you wanted to practice your Portuguese. But hopefully some new content in English will be there soon. And I also have an initiative that I started with my brother, who is also an MVP in business application, which we are kind of teaching or kind of doing a Microsoft Learn series about AI in general. So AI Builder, I'm talking about AI Builder, and he's talking about Copilot Studio, which is his expertise. And in YouTube channel, we have in Portuguese right now, but we will do the same in English soon. So if you wanted to kind of learn together with us, basically what we are doing is we are getting the learning paths from Microsoft Learn and doing each class together, discussing, presenting some demos, some showcases, some customer cases that we have, and these kind of things. So please feel free to subscribe there, and if you wanted to get in touch with me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to get you guys. Jumping to the agenda of this. So basically, I would like to set up the scene, just talk a little bit about why we should care about this topic, then how we can make the boring work fun. As Gregory said, it's a kind of a pain documenting things. So how can we make this more fun? And then a demo time. So to set up the scene, basically right now with the Power Platform, and this has been since it started, of course, when we started with the Power Platform 6 years ago, a lot of people from the development side started working with that. And then kind of in the past years, we have seen the citizen developers increasing. So we have been seeing a lot of people from the business starting developing their Power Automate cloud flows or doing this RPAs or doing their apps and these kind of things. And then we have both of them collaborating, or we should have both of them collaborating even more and increasing this collaboration and this digital transformation in the companies. So with that said, we have a lot of people developing stuff, a lot of people creating stuff, building nice stuff, and building some weird stuff as well. So the nice thing about, or the important thing about everything that we are talking today is that we, of course, we want everyone to be able to develop stuff, but we also need to be careful about those things that are being developed and how can we maintain and how can we support and make sure that these won't be a burden in the future for the company. So we have multiple environments being created, multiple solutions being created, some stuff not even in solutions. We have pipelines, we have automated pipelines, we have custom scripts, we have applications, we have flows, we have everything all over pretty much. Maybe this is the scenario that you have on your company. Maybe is something that you have seen a company that you are doing consultancy, but definitely this is something that I'm seeing everywhere. So since I'm in different places, like I'm in Brazil, so I have some knowledge about the community and also the companies in Brazil. They have a different scenario, a different culture than in Europe, for instance. And I'm sure that you guys have also a different way of doing things. But in Brazil, they are starting to kind of get more people from the business to start developing. And we have seen a lot of people from the business becoming developers, not only on their kind of their area. So let's say people from sales becoming a developer on the sales side, but to start kind of transitioning career to be a Power Apps developer, really, to develop anything or everything in Power Apps. But those people, they don't come with the IT background, which is fine, but they don't come also with the knowledge, okay, this is something that we are doing, it's nice, but we also need to think about the future. We need to think about what will be what will happen with this application 5 years from now, or what will happen if I move from company and then I need to kind of hand over this to someone else and these kind of things. So this is important. This is growing more and more. And of course, we need to ensure that this is handled in a nice way. So what does everything that I'm saying here, Bells, does bring to you? We need to think about the benefits about documenting and ensuring that we have a governance in place. This is especially for ensuring longevity, ensuring governance and maturity, so we can increase the maturity of the company and our teams when we have these documented in a nice way. It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be like a lot the documentation, but we need to have something that tells us what that application, what that flow, what that script is for, how can we maintain that in a nice way, in a good way. So this supports also the adoption and change management, because we know the impacts of kind of the little things that we change on these applications. So this is so important and super important. And if we as consultants, we are kind of bringing this topic to the table, it's important because then we make sure that everyone is aware, not only the technical guys, but also the business guys, IT, everyone is on top of that, working together. And I know that more often this is boring, and this is also costly because it takes time to document stuff. And also this is something that most of the companies, they don't care that much until this becomes a burden. So that's why I think it's so important to discuss those things beforehand. So why using AI to do that? So the topic is leveraging AI to document our solution. So why using AI? Because document is boring. We have said that a lot of times right now. I even wanted to tattoo that somewhere in my body. Document is super boring, but it's so important. And people think about the documentation when something bad happens. And people often don't keep the documentation updated as well. So sometimes people start documenting stuff. But then if you look at it 6 months after, it's not updated at all. And then this becomes also a problem, because then, yeah, if we need to onboard someone, then that person doesn't have the full picture because it's not updated. So
it's always
with
when
AI,
something bad happens. Always.
exactly, exactly. And that's the thing, because when something bad happens, usually it's not like a small thing, it's like a huge thing. And
Yeah.
then
Oh,
it's
huge. Yeah.
so exactly, and a lot of effort for us to kind of make sure that everything is in place afterwards. So that's if we can work from the beginning, think about that, then it's way better. And AI can support us, because AI now, we have a lot of capabilities that we can leverage on AI to do stuff for us. Of course, AI won't do everything, at least not for now. Maybe they will, because yeah, OpenAI just released yesterday, I think, this ChatGPT 4.0, which is crazy. And maybe it will generate everything once we tell them, please document everything that I have done. But for now, AI can support us generate the structure and make it easier for us. So make it something that I can just review it maybe, or I can just have a structure and then I can just fill it out. And this can be automatized, so I don't need to every day keep documenting. I can do something that whenever something changes, this triggers once a week or something like that. And then we automatize that process and make sure that the AI is keeping that documentation updated. So we don't need to kind of or we can make AI more productivity and more proactive on that sense to make things for us. And then we can, of course, review it and say, okay, it's good, it's not good, we need to change here and there. But at least we have something doing the boring part of the job for us. Cool. So how can we do that? we have a lot of different ways. I would like to talk to you guys about two specific ways today. Both of them are low code, I would say. But of course, if we want, we can also do more custom and develop code behind the scenes to do some more. So these are more for inspiring you, and hopefully this will be enough for you guys to kind of have a glimpse of what we could do. And these two cases will be one with Azure OpenAI and one with AI Builder. So Microsoft released it not a lot of time ago, this AI Builder prompt builder, which is a way for us to create our own prompts. So we have our own GPT within our platform. And that's the good thing, because we can create our prompts to do things for us. And then we can use that to make an assistant that will document stuff for us. And then I would like to, and then I'll give you guys these links, because this link here, it's nice, these AKMS try prompts, because they do like some helper guides on how you guys can do nice prompts. I must admit that I'm not that good, but it's generating some good stuff for now. And then I would like to do two demos. One demo is with, actually I did the third one that it wasn't planned, but I managed to finish before the session here, and then I'll show you guys. But one is with the Canvas app with Power Automate using Azure OpenAI to generate the documentation for us. And another one is a model-driven app with Power Automate and the AI Builder prompts. And the third one will be a Copilot Studio, where we can ask the Copilot Studio to document a script for me, and then the chatbot will answer with the documentation about that script, what that script does, and these kind of things. In these two scenarios that I will present, I will show you guys how we can document Power Automate Cloud Flows, but we can use the same concept to do for documenting web resources, Canvas apps, and if we do a bit more custom, we can even document everything that we have within the solution. Just so you know, this is a session that I'm I'm trying to do a more collaborative, so any feedback will be very important, because basically I'm talking about the same topic in a lot of different events. I'm talking to you guys. In 2 weeks, I'm talking about the same subject in a low code summit in London. But then my purpose is to, in each session, to bring one example more. So I presented these two last time. Then this time I will present the third one with the Copilot Studio, and then next time, and so forth. So it will be nice to see or to get your feedback, to your input, because those examples and those ideas will be nice for us to kind of get together. So please give me feedback on ideas about those things. So let's jump to the cool part. And then I would like to, before really going to the demo, I just would like to know a little bit about you guys. Most of you are developers, are consultants, or how much technical are you guys? Or how technical are you
Great
guys?
question. How about we use the raise hand feature? Who is a technical or developer or citizen developer on the call? Please use the raise hand. Now, even those with imposter syndrome and feel like they're not, because I see some names that I know they are, even if you've developed the smallest little thing. Okay, now I'm seeing some more hands up. So you've got, I'd say a little bit over half.
And what about, do you guys know about the AI Builder in Azure OpenAI? Or is it something new for you guys? How much of you guys know about AI Builder?
Anybody out there? Anybody been curious about it? Feel free to come off mute. Okay, I see some people with the raised hands. Jeff and Aaron, thank you.
Perfect. So then I'll start by talking about those two things before going to the technical side of it. So basically, AI Builder is something that Microsoft created a while ago, and it has been improving a lot. lately, because yeah, we are in the AI generation right now. But basically, it's a way for us to have AI in a low code manner. So of course, a lot of things on AI, it's coding behind the scenes. And when we are talking about Azure OpenAI, it's one of those examples. But then Microsoft created this AI builder to be like these uh, low code solutions for AI. So the first thing that they created or they built was document automation. So it was to extract data from documents. So let's say that you have an invoice and you will receive different invoices from different customers or different suppliers. Then you would like to automatize that process instead of someone getting the invoice, scanning that invoice, and typing in the information in a system to get something that extracts automatically those information from these different invoices, because we train the models. So we train an AI model, we give them examples, we give them data, and by using this data, the prompt will the model will be trained and will be able to kind of extract information from new invoices. So when we get an invoice by email, this automatically triggers a workflow, and this workflow extracts the information using an AI model, gets this information and put into a system. So this is quite nice because then, and everything low code, everything just by clicking. Actually, this is even no code because there's no function and anything. So it is a super nice thing. And I would like to recommend you guys to start looking at it because it's something very powerful and something that Microsoft is putting a lot of effort and investment on it, and kind of incrementing the features, the capabilities, and everything. So if you go to these AI models, you can see a lot of different examples that Microsoft has. So extract information from documents, read PDF documents with OCR, prediction, classification. So I have worked on some examples or some customer cases where we have like different plants, different trees, and these kind of things, and then people from the field could take pictures, and from those pictures they could already see, okay, this tree has an anomaly or has a bug or something like that. So these kind of things we can do without any code, which is super nice. And then the last thing that they released was these AI prompts, which is a way for us to create our own GPT. So we can create our own prompt, or we can even use some of the built-in from Microsoft. So sentiment analysis, classify a text. So let's say that we have an application that forms that we send out to the customer whenever we deliver a project or a product, and then they reply to that information. And then based on the reply that we got, we check if the sentiment was good or not, and we put this into a classification, or we do some complaints automatically. So we have ways of uh, working with that in a nice way. So these AI prompts are quite nice. And then this create text with GPT using a prompt is super powerful because basically we can write whatever we want. So we can write, I want this to be an AI assistant for documentation, and then I want you to, I will provide some information or my solution, and I would like you to get the solution and document it in a nice way. Of course, it's not that silly like that, but it's something like that. So this is for the AI builder. For the OpenAI, it is basically Microsoft created, basically got the OpenAI that we have from the ChatGPT on the OpenAI side, on the one that is external, and put it into Azure. So it is a service that we can consume. It's an API that we can call it, and we can send some information and ask for an outcome or a response from that API. I will show you in detail so you can see. It's not something, even though it's a bit technical, it's not that technical because the parameters are always the same. The standard, it is a standard way of doing it. You just need to understand the structure, and then you should be able to do it by yourself without any issues. So to show the AI builder first, basically what I have in here, it's an application, model-driven app. And imagine that we could have a catalog of all my applications or all my solution components. So in this example, it's silly, I just have one, but imagine that you have a catalog of all your automations, all your apps, all your scripts and everything in an easy way for you to kind of have fields on those information, who created, or when was the last modified date, and maybe a field where we can put a description. And this description would be a simple documented way of saying that flow does this, is triggered by this, is using these connections, is using these actions, and was created when, by whom. So we could have that in a nice way in an application that you can kind of document all your solutions. So of course, this, as again, as I said, is more like to inspire you. But basically, what I'm doing here is I just created a solution component. It's a cloud flow. I have an ID for this cloud flow. We could even do this more automatically to get the flows from the list of flows that I have in my environments and these kind of things. And I have a process where when I put the status to generating documentation, this will trigger a workflow behind the scenes. And what this workflow will do is will get the information from this flow, get the definition of this flow. So for those who don't know, our Power Automate Cloud Flows, they are JSON files behind the scenes. So they have a definition, a structure, a schema that says exactly what that flow does, which actions they have, which actions runs after the other, and these kind of things. So basically what we will do is we'll get this information and provide that information to my prompt. And then I'll ask,
Douglas, I hate to pause you, but just for 1 second. So are you telling me that as things change within your solution, this Power Automate flow is actually updating the documentation as well?
yeah,
Okay, I don't know if anybody's like hair has blown back yet, but that is amazing. You know, the fact that as you are changing and versioning and improving your solution, you don't have to do anything. It's just creating the documentation. I mean, I think that's a huge time saver. So love it.
exactly.
Just wanted to highlight that in case nobody caught that.
Yeah, and that's the cool part because everything that we create within an environment is stored in a table. So it means that we can automatize everything. So if a solution changes, if a component of a solution changes, we can trigger the automation and automatically give this description or this documentation. And of course, in this example, I'm just doing a documentation that does a description, like a more user-friendly description, but we could go forward with that and ask the AI builder or the OpenAI service to generate a kind of a very detailed documentation. So it's a matter of how we ask the prompt or how we ask the GPT to generate for us. So we need to instruct the way that we want this information to be generated. And I will show you guys how I did it in the prompt.
Yeah. One more thing I'll pause on just to mention, just to re-emphasize how this is all happening is because of that JSON script in the back, right? That ability to programmatically and with code review and see what's happening, you know, within these solutions. That JSON is what's feeding the AI to provide that documentation. Now, it's very similar to what we're seeing in the Fabric and Power BI world. The Power BI template, or the Power BI, I think there's like the .r files where you're now able to programmatically change things in the visualization pane, programmatically change things in Power Query. Across the whole Power Platform suite, we're seeing this investment of being able to programmatically change things and review things with code, which is what's allowing a solution like this with auto documentation to happen.
Mhm.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, which is super nice. And I will show you guys on the prompt side how this JSON structure works as well. So if I hit this button activate, this will trigger my flow. And while it's running, I will show you in the AI builder how this works really. So if I go to the AI prompts here, I have this Power Automate flow example. And this is my prompt. This is how I create a prompt. So I have I'm telling the my GPT what it does, and this is why it's so important to understand and to learn about how to do a nice prompt. I need to get better at it as well, but this is important. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm saying you are an AI assistant for documenting technical documentation. I have a Power Automate Cloud Flow in this example, and I want or I need you to help me summarize what this does for and explaining to business users. So I'm telling what is the outcome that I want. I don't want a technical documentation in a in technical words. I would like something that is more user friendly for business users, for citizen developers, or whoever to read that and understand that without the technical knowledge behind the scenes. And basically, I'm saying I will provide you the schema in JSON so you can process this and help with the information requested. And then I'm sending this through a variable. So that's the nice stuff here. When I'm creating a prompt, I can create variables. So if I click insert here, I can create variables from the inputs. So I can create these things. And then I'm saying some more information. Please provide a non-technical verbal language, separating to brief summary, trigger actions, generate this content in an HTML format because I would like this to be in a page, or I could say generate this in a text file or a text format or in a markdown or mermaid or whatever. So we can tell the prompt what the outcome of it will be, and I can even put some additional structures. And the cool stuff is that we can test from here. So I'm gonna get one part of my Cloudflow that I have. So this is a Power Automate Cloudflow as an example. This is the JSON file, the JSON structure. You can see that we have trigger. So when a row is added, modified, or deleted, I have some actions. So this is the definition of my flow. This tells to Power Automate what it needs to render in those little boxes and everything. So if I copy this JSON file and I paste it in the sample data in here, I can test my prompt and I will see what the outcome of it will be. So here generated with some information. So sure, it generated with an HTML. So with a title, summary, the Power Automate Cloud Flow is designed to trigger when a row is added, modified, or deleted. In this specific table, the flow is triggered. What is the trigger? Which actions we have? Which connections we are using? And it says some stuff about, please note that this is a high-level overview. For more technical information, please refer to the JSON. So we have a nice feature, and I'm just testing. So if I would like to, let's say that I would like these to be in Markdown, I'll just test again. Just don't keep pushing the button because this will this not, but the on the Power Automate flow, this will consume your credits. Just so you know. But this now it generated my documentation using Markdown, so I can use this somewhere else. So we can ask things in a different way. And yeah, we can do our prompt in the way that we want. So then hopefully now, if this worked, I should have an HTML here, which didn't render nicely, but this documentation was generated by that flow. So if I show you guys how this flow does or what that flow does, it's super easy. And basically what I'm doing is I don't know if you guys are used to use the new designer. To be honest, I don't use the new designer. I don't know if you are using, but I will show you here. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm getting on this flow, there is an action that get the flow definition, get that flow JSON structure. So I can get that flow JSON structure by sending the name of the flow, which environment that flow is part of. And by getting the flow definition, I can call my GPT using prompt, sending the information that I'm getting from the flow definition. Then I'll get the response. Then I'm updating the information within this record. If I show you guys the latest execution, which was just so You can see that I'm not faking the data. It's really AI generating stuff for me. I can show you that we got the flow definition. So that JSON structure as the same as I show it to you in the other flow. So with the actions, with the conditions, the triggers and everything. And I'm passing this to my prompt and I'm getting a response. So if I see here, I have the response. Sure, I can help with that. The summary, the trigger, the actions, the connections that are being used and everything. And then if I do a nice prompt, then I can even remove these, sure, I can help, just to generate whatever I want without this please note in the end. So I can kind of limit the way that the AI will generate this for me. So with a prompt, you can do whatever. If you do a nice prompt, or the better the prompt is, the better the results will be. And then of course we can save this in this file. We can use, I was playing a bit with, I don't know if you guys know about this Mermaid. It is an open source thing, this diagramming tool, which is you can generate some diagrams based on the kind of writing some stuff. So you write B to C and then it knows the logic. So we could even ask the Copilot, our GPT, to generate this structure here and then render in the Mermaid. So we could have not only a description of my solution, but I could even have the visual design of my flow without needing to edit a flow or go to the execution. So
That's
this
so
is something,
sweet. Where'd you
yeah.
find that?
Yeah, so Mermaid is something that it's pretty hot, I think, in Europe right now. In Brazil, I think it's starting to do it. So if you go to mermaid.js.org, it's being used, and you can do, it's free. You can use to generate this. And there is already a PCF component for Power Apps that renders this structure within an app.
Really?
So if, yeah,
That is sweet. I am bookmarking
that's
that right now.
yeah, that's what I'm planning to do on the Low Code Summit in 2 weeks time. So hopefully this will be ready for you guys to take also, because everything that I'm doing, it will be on my GitHub, and then you guys can play with that if you want.
Rock on.
Cool. So this is, again, to tell you, or to inspire you on things that can be done. Nice. So this is how we can set up these prompts. If we change something, we can already save from here. And from here, once it's saved, I can already use and everything. So now I would like to show you the OpenAI thing. So on the OpenAI, I just created an app, a Canvas app, that renders some information for the user. So the user can select which environment I would like to document or to get the documentation from. I can select which automation I would like to document, and which type of or format I would like this documentation to be generated. So if I say Markdown and I hit the button generate, this behind the scenes is calling, sorry, is calling a Power Automate Cloudflow, which is calling the OpenAI service. So in the same way, we could use even the AI builder from here if we want to. This is just another example where we are using OpenAI to generate, because the OpenAI, then it's a different service. You can have different logic there. You can create different GPTs. You can use the different versions of the GPTs there as well. So I'm just going to generate the HTML because I think it's better for the visualization. But in this case, I created an app that makes for the user something for them to select, okay, I would like to generate a documentation for this specific flow, which format, and so on. So here I generated a brief description, what the flow does. This is a flow test. What is the purpose of that flow? So those kind of important information for us to know, okay, that flow uses these connections, is triggered by these things, and this is the purpose of the automation. And that's it, super simple. Um, Basically, what I'm doing here on the Power Automate, on the Power Apps, is just calling a Power Automate flow. As you can see, summaries, flow information, Power Apps. I'm sending some information, and then I have a Power Automate that does the tricky part. So basically, I'm getting those information from the Power Apps Canvas app, and then I'm setting up the prompt. So it is kind of the same logic. Instead of having, so when we are in the AI builder, we can create these prompts and make them as templates, let's say, that to be used. But in this case, I'm creating the prompt. And when I'm creating the prompt, I could even have a chain of conversation if I want to. In this case, I'm just creating a prompt from scratch. I'm saying what the role my automation or my AI will play. Some information, I will send you a JSON structure, what is the JSON, and then based on the JSON provided, please summarize what this flow does, and the response must come using the output that is coming from the Canvas app. And then basically what I'm doing is I'm calling a service. So this service from Azure has an API key. So from Azure, we can go there, create our a service, we can get the key, we can send the message, we can send the temperature, we can set the tokens that are being used and these kind of things, because on the OpenAI service, you need to have, you pay by the tokens that you use or you consume. And then basically, I'm just setting or sending this information to the service and getting a response back. And based on that response, I'm just pushing back to the app. So that's a Power Automate, simple Power Automate that will get the information, send out to OpenAI service, getting back the information and pasting whatever in whatever place we are calling this flow. And then once I have the information, I'm just putting to the variable where I can show in the HTML or in this specific field. So it's still cool. I think the difference basically is the way that we will consume, which service we will consume, and also how we will pay that, because AI Builder is by credits, OpenAI services by the number of calls, but both of them will have a cost, and both of them will have similar results, because basically when we have AI Builder is made on top of the GPT 3.5, and OpenAI, the standard is the 3.5, but there you can have the 4, and the 4 will get better results depending on what you want. The nice stuff about the OpenAI is because, as I said to you guys, we can set up a prompt that is a chain of conversation. So if we want to implement something that is more like asking questions, responding, and these kind of things to generate whatever I want. So instead of just sending the data and asking an outcome, to kind of start playing with the GPT, I send some information, I get a feedback, and then I send that information as a context and get more information or ask more information. Then the OpenAI service is more flexible, let's say, to do those things. So, but we have scenarios for both. It's just the way to use. And then I have a third scenario, which is just something that I was playing around last week, because we had Copilot Summit here in Brazil. So I just created this. Hopefully we'll load in a minute. Last week I had some trouble with Copilot Studio. I don't know if you guys are using that much Copilot Studio, but yeah, it's a way for us to create chatbots. And there is
Pilot
a
Studio
nice,
is awesome.
yeah, it is, and
It's
it's a
gotten a
nice.
lot better. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
we have a lot of AI capabilities right now. So we have Gen AI made on Copilot. I'm not using in this example, but we could use. And in this case, I just created a simple bot that I can say generate documentation. And in this case, I'm generating documentation for scripts. Sorry. So let's say that you will have a script, a JavaScript that someone developed, and you are a consultant, you don't know JavaScript, and you want something to document you, or at least to read that and tell you what it is. So I just created this one, and I can paste. I have a JavaScript here somewhere that I can get from. So I can just get a script and I can ask, and then if that works, hopefully, it will call an AI plugin, which is an AI builder behind the scenes. Nice. That's the good one. I can show, let's see what happened. So it's the same thing, but instead of calling from an app, I'm just calling from Copilot, which is nice because then we have conversations. We can have a lot of, it's my AI builder credits. So that's the cool part. I have this is a dev environment, like a demo environment, and then I have not a lot AI builder credits because it costs $500 a month.
It is
Uh,
expensive.
it's super expensive, but worthwhile. Now we have
Right.
some calculators, and if we use, of course, if we use as it's intended to, we have a nice ROI. But yeah, it's the same concept that I was using. I can even show you another example here that I ran 1 hour ago to check if everything was working, and it was at that time. But basically, I was just passing information from the Copilot and then asking my AI prompt to generate something. So in this case, generate, so the script is triggered from the form and it's triggered when this attribute is changed, gets the form context. So it's basically describing what that script does for me. So yeah, basically that's it. We have a lot of kind of nice things that we can do from here. This again is more to inspire you, to show you how and some stuff that we could do potentially. But of course, we can build a completely automatized solution that takes everything from within a solution. And even something that I'm playing with some colleagues from here from Brazil is to do that when we wanted to deploy some stuff. So we can do this incrementally every time that something changes. We do this automatized process that will be triggered and will document my stuff. But also when we deploy, so when we wanted to move from development to test or from test to production, we make sure that that documentation will be generated and even validate if that documentation it's fine. So this is something that I've been working lately, was to automatize this pipeline process. So when we moved from dev to test, this is documented. This documentation is automatically generated, and someone from the technical team needs to evaluate and approve. And this is part of the approval to go to production. It's like making kind of a release notes for us automatically. So we know, okay, this has changed. This is what I'm deploying to production to my customer, and I can even have that documentation to be sent out to the customer, because basically when we are creating the prompts, we can tell the tone that this documentation will be generated, if we should use formal or informal phrases and these kind of things. So we can set the tone, set the way that we want, format that documentation in a nice way, and we can generate that. And I'm generating HTML, JSON, Markdown, but we could even get this information into a Word file, generate a PDF, and these kind of things, or send out through email. So we have a ton of different possibilities here. And then it's more like, how can we use our creativity to build those cool stuff?
Would love for us, everybody on the call, whether you want to come on video or come off mute, but we should give Douglas a round of applause. Thank you so much, Douglas, for this amazing content. That was freaking sweet. Like there was so much there that you walked through. I feel like there could be 10 talks from here, but just this idea of being able to have updated documentation, how you're using the backend, how you're calling these services, how they're working across the complete Power Platform suite, and even throwing Copilot Studio in there, because why not? That was amazing. So thank you, and thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. And I think basically everything that I'm doing here, and also we were talking with some Power BI guys, if we could do even with the same structure for Power BI as well, uh, based on the data flows or whatever we create together with them.
If you do that, you have to come to the Fabric user group / Power BI user group with us. I know there's a lot of those on this call today are also part of the Fabric user group. I see, Jeff, you also mentioned you're more focused on Power BI than Power Platform, but yeah, Douglas, if you would want to come back after you've kind of, cracked that solution, please let me know. I know the Fabric
That'd be
user group
very
would love
cool.
to have you. Yeah. I mean, it's all thanks to those template files, right? When I was at that Fabric community conference, there's such a huge push for being able to programmatically work with, not PBIXs, but those Power BI template files and open sourcing a lot of the componentry of Power BI. It's really exciting what you can do.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I
Well,
mean, this is a nice way of taking that boring stuff, like going through each one of these flows and document and make sure that everything is updated. It's better to have something that does for us, and then we can even just, okay, this is cool enough. I just approve or something like that, and it's easier for us to make those things updated.
Absolutely. And I will say, coming from a consulting background, I can tell you not a single customer of mine wants to pay for documentation. But if I told them we have an automated way of doing it, and it's not going to take so much time, I am sure anybody can jump on that. Brent, I see, I can already tell Brent's, got his mind going for a lot of what he does. So, Jeff, are you a consultant too, or are you in industry?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm semi-retired nowadays, so a couple of like small project management jobs, but I try and stick to the Power BI because it ticks all the boxes for sort of data and transformations and all those and visualization side of it. So it's great.
I've heard semi-retired before. For those that really love what we do, this is fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're in the same camp.
Absolutely.
And you said something about the project management. This is also good. This is something that I'm pitching a lot with for project managers because they often ask, okay, what are you guys doing? Is that documented well? They don't know. If we have something that it's kind of described in a business with the business language, then they know, okay, this is how, this is what it's being done, and this kind of thing. So I think this thing that we are discussing here can go very deep on the technical level, which is nice because then we have like proper documentation of everything that is being done. And then if I go out or if something happens with me, then everyone is safe. But also we can document for the business to understand what is going on, what are the dependencies, that not everything is so easy like that. If we change something, what is the impact, and those kind of things. So we can have
Impact
these
analysis
distributed.
would be huge.
Mhm.
Impact out and auto notifications of impact analysis.
Mhm.
We were doing a very similar project, previously where we were looking at impact analysis for bills and being able to create that notification mechanism where it'd be like listening as new things would get published. Hey, this department, just FYI, go look into this because, it has, there's a piece of this bill that you should probably pay attention to. I think more of these proactive measures, like one of the things that I've talked about is data activator in Fabric. The more proactive we can get rather than reactive, that's what a lot of AI is doing for us, right? We're crossing that gap, I think. Well, sir, I know it is evening time where you are. I'm sure your kids are asleep and you would love to join them in sleeping, getting some rest. Hopefully your voice comes back tomorrow and you start feeling better. Douglas, you've got a fan base here in Portland, that's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Douglas.
Bye, everybody. Have a great evening.
Bye.